Some people argue for minutes, for hours, and then someone says one sentence, and it's over. No recovery, no comeback, just silence. Yeah, these are those moments. I'm Cindy, and today we're breaking down the art of the savage comeback. But we're not just looking at the burns, we're looking at the psychology. Research from Stanford suggests that a perfect shutdown works by instantly recategorizing the social hierarchy. It doesn't just win the argument, it removes the opponent's right to speak.
Take the "you tried" moment. You've seen it. Someone tries to roast another person, but it just doesn't land. It feels forced. It makes it worse.
In that moment, the tension is thick. The room is waiting. And then the other person just looks at them and says, "You practiced that, didn't you?" That wasn't a comeback. That was a shutdown. Why? Because it attacks the effort behind the insult. It makes the attacker look desperate for approval. Psychologically, we value low-effort dominance. By pointing out the practice, you've signaled that their opinion matters so much to them, they had to rehearse. Game over. Now let's look at a different arena, the parent-child dynamic. This is where logic usually goes to die, until a high performer steps in. The scene: a parent says, "Because I said so." It's the ultimate conversation stopper, or so they think. Then, the kid pauses and says, "That's not a reason, that's a sentence." It's precise, it's logical, and it completely dismantles the parent's authority because it points out the logical fallacy. This is what psychologists call high argumentativeness. Research from the University of Haifa shows that this requires high-level cognitive processing in the prefrontal lobe. Next, the comment driver. This one is for those heavy relationship moments where one person tries to weaponize change. Someone says, "You've changed." The other person just goes, "Yeah, I learned." Conversation over. You can't respond to that without exposing yourself and your own role in that change. This works because of the brain's negativity bias. We prioritize processing insults as social threats. By accepting the charge and reframing it as a lesson, you neutralize the threat. Dr. Peter McGraw's benign violation theory explains that a comeback is powerful when it's a violation, an attack, that is ultimately perceived as benign or truth-based. Welcome back. In Section 1, we saw how comebacks can dismantle social effort. But what happens when the stakes are higher, like in the workplace, or when the most powerful response is nothing at all? The workplace is a theater of power. According to researchers at the Stanford Graduate School of Business, conflict in teams often stems from status contests, where verbal jabs are used to test authority.
Consider story 4. A boss snaps at an employee. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" It's a classic blame shift. The room goes quiet, waiting for an excuse, but the employee doesn't give one.
Instead, they calmly say, "I did. You just didn't listen." No anger, no defense, just a neutral statement of fact. That meeting? It ended differently. Why does this work? Psychologically, by refusing to defend yourself, you refuse to accept the lower status position. You aren't answering the boss. You're correcting a record. When we're blamed, our brain's prefrontal cortex often gets hijacked by the amygdala, leading to a defensive fight-or-flight response. Breaking that cycle with a neutral fact is a high-level executive function. Now, let's talk about the most underrated tool in the shutdown toolkit: silence. In negotiation research from Harvard, the power of the pause is a legendary tactic. Most people feel a desperate need to fill the silence. It's a psychological phenomenon called horror vacui, the fear of the void. When you refuse to fill it, the other person often starts to reveal their own insecurities. Story 5, the silent comeback. You see someone get roasted, or at least someone tries to roast them, and instead of responding, they just look at them, smile, and say, "Nothing." That silence, it's louder than anything they could have said. It signals that the insult was so insignificant it didn't even warrant a response. That is true dominance. By staying silent, you create cognitive dissonance in the attacker. They expected a reaction. When they don't get it, their brain struggles to reconcile their attack with your indifference. They lose. Quick break. If you've ever wanted to make videos like this, or just find some of the best tools and products I actually use, there are free AI tools, no experience needed. It's all in the link below.
We've covered the burns and the silence, but how do you make a comeback stick? In our final section, we'll look at the loop engine and how to end an interaction on your terms. Stay with me.
We've analyzed the burns, the silence, and the power of neutrality. But the most critical part of any shutdown isn't the first word, it's the last. Today, we master the exit. Welcome to the final section, the loop engine. Human psychology is obsessed with closure. We have a natural tendency to remember uncompleted tasks better than completed ones, a phenomenon known as the Zeigarnik effect. In a comeback, if you don't close the loop, the tension lingers in your favor.
The loop engine is about creating an ending that circles back to the attacker's initial failure. It's the craziest part. The best comebacks aren't loud. They're simple, they're calm, and they hit instantly.
Imagine this. After a series of failed roasts, you just look at them and say, "Wait till the next one." And then you just walk away.
My goodness, that's hilarious.
That makes them anticipate a future attack that may never come. By walking away, you seize the exit dominance. Research from UCLA suggests that the person who ends a social interaction first is often perceived as having higher social status. You aren't being dismissed, you are dismissing them. This status shift is permanent. You've left them in a state of social debt. They have to process your exit and your non-reaction, while you've already moved on to the next thing. When you provide a clear, calm ending, you've essentially overwritten the conflict in the other person's brain. You've replaced their aggression with your finality. That is how you win. From "you practiced that, didn't you?" to "I learned." Every single one of these moments was about one thing: refusing to participate in someone else's script. But none of it works without the tone. The viral breakout strategy we've used, the 1.02x pace, the short pauses, it's designed to keep the tension high and the delivery sharp. Calmness is a superpower. When you're calm while someone else is loud, the room's attention naturally shifts to you. You are the eye of the storm, and the storm is their insecurity. Here is a fascinating side effect: the frequency illusion. Now that you've learned these techniques, your brain is going to start spotting them everywhere. In movies, in the news, even in your own office. This awareness is the first step to social mastery. My final advice: be consistent. Don't let your emotions dictate your response. Let the science dictate it. Every time you use a shutdown, you're retraining your own brain to handle conflict better. Research from the Stanford GSB shows that verbal aggression is contagious. It spreads through a team like a virus, but a single powerful shutdown acts as an immune response. By stopping one bully, you're protecting the entire group's psychological safety. This isn't just about winning an argument, it's about personal growth. It's about knowing that you have the tools to handle any verbal threat with grace and a bit of a savage edge. We've reached the end of our deep dive. 10 minutes of psychological strategy, all packed into these 3 sections. I hope you've taken notes, because these are life-changing tools. From the social roast to the workplace mic drop, to the final loop exit, you now have the complete playbook for the art of the shutdown.
If this helped, subscribe, because as parents who do the research, we break down parenting science every week. And sometimes we give you the tools to shut down the backtalk before it even starts.
Subscribe, or someone might use one of these on you next. And let's be honest, the next one is definitely going to be worse. I'll see you in the next breakdown. Wait, we're not done yet. To make sure you're fully equipped to handle any situation, I've put together this bonus section with 2 advanced psychological tactics that elite negotiators use to maintain total control. Tactic number 1, the question mark. When someone insults you, the worst thing you can do is answer. Instead, ask a clarifying question. Can you explain why you think that's funny?
That is hilarious. I can't believe it.
This works because it shifts the burden of proof back to the attacker. By making them explain the joke or the insult, you force them to rationalize their aggression, which usually makes it fall apart instantly.
Tactic number 2, fogging. This is an assertive communication technique where you agree with any truth in a person's statement while ignoring the insult. You're right, I was late today. Fogging is like a psychological judo move. You offer no resistance for them to push against. By agreeing with the facts, you leave them with nowhere to go. The conflict has no fuel, so it just stops. You now have 7 powerful tools in your arsenal. Use them wisely, use them calmly, and remember, your silence is just as loud as your words.
That completes our 10-minute masterclass on savage comebacks. You are now the master of your own narrative. I'm Cindy, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.
Don't forget to subscribe for the full breakdown and more science-backed strategies every week. Stay savage.